There's a line drive high and deep to left. It is gone! 3-run home run, Kyle Kubat. Fly ball to left, Sweeney hit well, and oh, Charlie Capsetta, what a play! Here's a line drive out to center field. It's a grand slam! Going back is Shaw. He is going to get there. What a catch! And he's going to hop over the fence while doing it. What a coming home. It's Morales to throw on a double hop. Oh, is it in time? It is in time! Here's a rocket. Deep left field. Does this have a chance to go? It is gone! Go ahead, homer. Tyler Wilson on the first pitch. Play called for a back on the 14th, and there's number 100. Stephen Devaney with a line drive to left. He's 2 for 2. And with triple digits for number 1 as difference. And here's a ground ball shooting through the left side. And Kingsway has won the Ralph Shaw opener. Here we go. Fly ball deep left center field. And it is gone. Grand slam. Scott Lynch, grand slam. Is the man of the hour. There's a ground ball. That's going to go into center field. It's going to be picked up, and it's going to be booted. Here comes the runner to the plate, and Pittman has won it in extras. Walk-off single, Jude Engstrom. Bases loaded. 2 outs. Just like they drew it up in Hollywood. Caladros, the 3-2. Swing and a miss! And the Audubon Green Wave have upset the Kingsway Dragons in the Ralph Shaw Classic. From the backdrop of the wonderful Cherry Hill Township City Hall, we have the winner-take-all in the Tri-County Baseball League quarterfinal round between the Haddonfield Dawgs and CHBR third base. The umpires have just arrived at Folk Field here in Cherry Hill on a hot, sweltering Thursday evening. Welcome, everybody, to coverage of Dan Wilkins Broadcasting and the Tri-County Baseball League. I'm here with my producer, Bill Kohut, and myself, Dan Wilkins. Welcome. We've got a very interesting game this evening as we're going to be getting started in about 10 minutes or less. The players are still getting their warm-ups in, but I think the interesting point of this game is going to be, will there be a second Haddonfield-based team getting into the semifinals? Let's talk about what teams have already clinched their ticket to the semifinals so far. The Gartons of Vineland swept the South Jersey Grizzlies based out of Runnymede 2-0 in their series and advanced the first team to clinch their ticket. They're the number 1 seed. They're the undisputed best team in the league. They were the Carter Cup champions last year in a series that was basically full of upsets. It was the 7 seed versus the 5 seed. But now the Gartons are no longer in the passenger seat. They are in the driver's seat and they control their own destiny. For these guys, for CHBR, they were the second best team, pretty non-disputed in the Tri-County League. But they have faced a very tough and contentious challenge from the 7 seed Haddonfield Dawgs, who are only in their 4th season of TCBL membership. If they win today, it would be the first time that they've reached the Tri-County semis during their league tenure. For CHBR, this is their best season in the 19 years of their existence. Ever since they came in 2004, they've made some deep playoff runs, but in the regular season and in the playoffs so far, this has been their best season. So they definitely don't want to squander that. But for the other teams that have advanced as well, including the Rough Riders, who were the number 6 seed and downed the number 3 seed Pine Barrens last night on our DWB broadcast, along with the clincher for one of the other folks as well in the Northern Division, we've got a great matchup on this Thursday night. And I will say, there are storylines that run deep going into this game, and there will be storylines running deep when we leave here tonight. So what you see may be something we've never seen before. A 7 seed moving on to the semifinal round in just its 4th year of existence in the league. Regardless, though, let's talk about starting lineups. I'm still waiting on a lineup from Bones Marciano, the manager of the CHBR Third Base Club, but let's go over the Haddonfield Dawgs lineup as coached by John Tedeschi. We have John Tedeschi leading off in the extra hitter spot. We've got Jacob Watson of Rutgers Camden batting second, Brandon Hartman of Bridgewater College batting third in left field. Luca Marinucci of Eastern University is batting cleanup at the third base spot. Batting fifth will be Augie Uzdanovich of Rutgers Camden, batting in the center field spot and fifth in the order. In the shortstop position will be Brian Sanders of Cumberland County College. Behind the plate will be Joey Tedeschi, batting 7th. Batting 8th and at first base will be Colin Hughes of RCGC. And batting 9th will be, Scott Diggerlomo of St. Joseph Academy. He is at second base, batting 9th. And as the 10th hitter will be the DH/pitcher, again, of Rutgers Camden, and the son of a good friend of mine from the Audubon High School days is Dustin Bellis. While we're waiting on the CHBR order, we are going to go to a quick break before these guys take the field. So, again, everybody here at the DWB studio booth out in Cherry Hill, my producer Bill Kohut, and myself, Dan Wilkins, we hope you enjoy the broadcast here at Folk Field in Cherry Hill between the 7th seed Haddonfield Dawgs and the 2 seed CHBR Third Base Club. We'll see in just a minute when these guys take the field. CHBR third base has taken the field in a winner-take-all Game 3. Can't get much more decisive than this, and of course the cards have played somewhat in our favor and somewhat against us, considering the weather in the last couple of days, the impending weather tonight, although if we weren't doing a broadcast, I would have certainly wished for some rain because of the fact that right now the real feel is 100. Right now, 8 p.m. looking like 70% chance of rain and then 90% chance at 9 o'clock, but that will be after the sunset, and hopefully we'll be out of here by the time that's done. We've got a great matchup tonight, and the starting pitcher for the CHBR third base club is going to be none other than Tommy Angelucci, number 27. We did just get the lineup in from Bones Marciano. That's going to be Sean Sesdewicki at shortstop, batting leadoff. Bobby Woodward behind the dish, batting second. Aiden Huey in center field, batting third. Julian Costa in the cleanup spot, and at first, Ryan Dipper is the DH, batting fifth. Jared Hernandez in right, batting sixth. John Rorick of Kingsway batting seventh at second base. It'll be Elias Filiposian at third, batting eighth, and then Jared Vanderster in left, batting ninth. And as CHBR takes the field and does their defensive reps before we get into John Tedeschi, Jacob Watson, and Brandon Hartman, the first three for the Dawgs tonight, I think the real question is these two are going to play off each other all night. You know, we've seen earlier in the season, I put it up on the pregame panel earlier today, is that CHBR is 4-0 in the regular season against these guys head-to-head, and they're 1-1 in the playoffs. So was Game 1 a fluke, or is Game 3 going to be a Haddonfield Cinderella story for ages to come? Now we'll see how we're going to start this one off with John Tedeschi, the extra hitter, versus Tommy Angelucci of CHBR, Dustin Bellis of Rutgers Camden being the opposing starter for the Dawgs. Umpires ready behind the plate. Angelucci kicks and deals, and we are underway with a swing and a miss, 0-1. As we said, quite a scorcher at first pitch. Feels like we're in Phoenix, Arizona. Real feel 100 degrees. Humidity 52% with wind blowing southwest at 12 miles per hour. That is blowing in from left field. That one skips away past Woodward. Woodward was the player of the game when we saw these two teams play each other in the regular season, the final being CHBR 21-3 over the Dawgs, but it seems like that was more of an anomaly, kind of sparked by the fact that this game was supposed to be here at a much more pitcher-friendly park compared to Farwood Field, where there were 5 homers hitting the game. Here's a ground ball out to short. Sesdewicki throws it first, and it's in time. One away. And this will bring up Jacob Watson. As a freshman at Rutgers Camden, Jacob Watson set the single-season stolen base record. And when we did a game back in April at the Camden Athletic Complex, he made an incredible throw from right field. And who made the tag at home? It was none other than Evan Carbone of the Rough Riders. So, a small world here in Camden County. But one away and nobody on, as we're just getting started here. Game 3 of the quarterfinal round. There's a strike in the outside corner to Jacob Watson, right fielder for the Dawgs. Here's a ground ball chopped out towards second base, picked up, and the throw to first is in time. Sorry, camera with there. 2 down. And Brandon Hartman will bat now. There's a strike. And as we said, this is the last game that's being played in the quarterfinal round. Cherry Hill Pittman, the Gartons of Vineland, and the Rough Riders have already clinched semifinal spots, so this will be the lone outlier for now at least. The semifinal games, weather permitting, will be July 31st, August 1st, and August 2nd, alternating between the Camden Athletic Complex and Alcyon Park, or I should say, one series will be at Camden, one series will be at Pittman. That one floated into right field, and that is a base hit. Brandon Hartman starts the offensive scorecard for Haddonfield with a 2-out knock off of Angelucci, and this brings up, off of Angelucci, this brings up Marinucci of Eastern University. I mean, look, in a league where everybody makes the playoffs, Haddonfield being 8-13 on their regular season record is not exactly an impressive number, but look, they got over the hump of the play-in round, and now they're the number 7 seed in the quarterfinal. So I'd say, you know, give them their day in the sun. Don't count these guys out until the final pitch. So that's a swing and a miss to Marinucci. Augie Uzdanovic of Rutgers Camden on deck if the inning were to continue. Runner on first, 2 down, just getting underway here in the top of the first from Folk Field. Ground ball out to short, and just like that, he'll take it to the bag himself, and the side is retired. 3 up, 1 on, and everybody gets down without any runs on the board. After a half inning, we're scoreless from Cherry Hill. We'll be right back. Bottom of the first inning, CHBR looking to get the offense started in the bottom half of the first here from Folk Field in Cherry Hill. You're watching coverage of Dan Wilkins Broadcasting in the Tri-County Baseball League quarterfinals on a hot Thursday evening. Honestly, I somewhat feel bad for the Haddonfield players who have to wear the black sleeves on their jerseys, as that one looks to be outside, and it's 1-0. To the leadoff man, Sean Sesdowicki, the shortstop for CHBR. And of course, this is at the Cherry Hill Babe Ruth Field, which is where the namesake of this team comes from, CHBR being Babe Ruth. So that one's outside. And of course, third base being Third Base Sports and Trophies, which is a corporate sponsor of the team. Hit well out towards third, in the hole and falling down, making the throw, but it's going to be short. And it's going to be an infield single, a rather chaotic one for Sesdowicki, and it's going to bring up Bobby Woodward, the catcher, in the 2-hole for CHBR. I don't know if he got caught in the grass or caught in the dirt or whatever it was, but he just kind of lost his footing and didn't fare well at the end of the day. So. But you see those kind of things a lot happening, especially like sports like football, where these players get hurt because of non-contact injuries, and that's the last thing you want is somebody to get hurt from that kind of scenario. And it seems like he tried to do like a running throw and everything like that, and ended up just getting the short end of the stick at the end of the day. But Sesdowicki on first after the infield single. Again, I'm strict with errors, but even I wouldn't call that the fault of Marinucci, because he was going over way out of his way to make the play and just couldn't hang on to it. Grounded foul down the left field line. One and two. Again, it'll be Bobby Woodward and then the center fielder Aiden Huey. So we've got a train horn passing by. The sounds of Cherry Hill. believe we're, oh, that one's going to go to the backstop, and there's this aggressive throw down to second base that was not needed because Sesdewicki didn't break from first, but I know when I was passing by here, past Route 70 and Haddonfield Road, there's like a complex. I don't know if that's associated with the Cherry Hill Mall or whatever it may be, but I know there's like the Cheesecake Factory back there. Let's swing this. And Woodward is down on strikes to bring up Aiden Huey. One out, runner on first for CHBR here in the bottom of the first. Time is called. Some fans still settling in here this evening, packing the bleachers on the third base side. Not really anybody on the first base side though, but I mean, I really hope we do get a good turnout for the Carter Cup. I've obviously never attended one before, but it's in a pretty prestigious location at Alcyon Park in Pittman. A lot of parking, so hopefully a lot of people can make the trip. But of course, if you can't make it, you can always just follow along right here on Dan Wilkins Broadcasting. That park is so picturesque. Trees in the background and the hill out in right field. It's treacherous to walk up, but once it's kind of like climbing a mountain. By the time you're at the top of it, you don't care how tiring it was to get to the summit. The fact that you're there makes it all worth it. But again, one out, runner on first for CHBR as Bellis delivers. That one's inside to Huey. That one's grounded out to third, and again botched at short, or rather at third, and that's going to be another hit for CHBR as Aiden Huey gets aboard. I think that one I'm going to write down on my scorecard as an E5, although I could go either way. Keep in mind that anything that I mutter on the broadcast about the scorecard or scorebook is unofficial. Whatever goes into the box score online is not my doing, it's not my decision, that's the decision of the scorekeepers. As there's a strike to the cleanup man, Julian Costa, the first baseman. Batting from the left side, the rather tall and bulky stature, as that one's outside. I mean, CHBR is kind of always put on the runs early. They get the offense going as soon as they can. I mean, they've seen Dustin Bellis before, not at this venue, but earlier on in the season when we covered them. So it wouldn't be surprising to me, you know, if they know his bag of tricks already. So you can approach that how you do. That one's off the Dawgs dugout. We're down the first base line. Bellis with a, looks like an off-speed, maybe circle change kind of pitch that misses outside. That's a ground ball out to short, picked up, and a fire to first is going to miss. It gets past Hughes, and that's going to move everybody up 90 feet. So Sesdewicki holds at third, and the bases are loaded. No more room at the inn as CHBR means business here early as their fifth hitter will come up to the dish now. Bellis in some early trouble as he was when he gave up 11 runs in the first inning to CHBR. But now Ryan Dipper, the right-handed hitting DH, will bat with the bases loaded. The only blemish on this inning so far has been Bobby Woodward's strikeout, but even then he worked the count pretty well. So you can't really fault him for that, but there's a swing and a miss. It's 0-1. Bellis delivers inside. Yeah, I've noticed Bellis throws well. He's got a lot of break on his off speed, and he's got some good zip on the fastball, but it seems like just what he needs to work on going into his sophomore year of baseball is the control. I think that's perfectly exemplified right there with the ball inside, and it's 2-1. You know, you can make hitters swing all you want at balls outside of the plate, or balls outside of the strike zone, but you can't do that every single time. You know, sometimes you have to work on precision rather than velocity and break. You know, you look at somebody like Jamie Moyer, who, I mean, what a career he had. Started off in 1987 with the Cubs, and then retired in 2012. I mean, just what a timeline he had. But towards the end of his career, you know why he was still such a good pitcher at 45, 47, even 48 years old? Is that's going to be hit by pitch to drive in a run with the bases loaded. As beanball being played here tonight with CHBR. It's 1-0 to the third base club with 1 out in the bottom of the first. So says the wiki, will be forced. As now here is their 6th man in the order, Jared Hernandez, the right fielder. Takes outside. Looked a little close to me, but might be a tight zone tonight from behind the dish. That one skips away, but goes back to home plate, and it's 2-0. I think these guys are going to talk it out, because I think they need to. Because if you're the 7 seed and you want to make a Cinderella run, you know, and get one step closer to the Carter Cup, the last thing you want is to have this kind of gap in your resume this early in the game. But as we were talking about, Jamie Moyer, you know, he was throwing 80, 82 miles per hour probably when he was like 45. But he was precise. He had, you know, Army precision kind of fastballs and breaking balls. He rarely walked batters, and that's what made him so good. There's a swing and a miss. Bellis getting back into the rhythm, and it's 2-1. You could say the same thing with a more modern example of somebody like Anibal Sanchez. That one misses. 3-1. But like the modern day examples, Ben Joyce of the Angels, Jose Alvarado of the Phillies, they throw so hard, but they can't locate. It's the hitter's worst nightmare. That one's a foul ball into somebody's front yard. We were talking about earlier in the broadcast, there was this one car which is out of view because it's blocked by a bleacher, so we can't show it clearly on camera, but that's going to be another walk. It's going to bring in, excuse me, sorry, I was blanking there, Aiden Huey from third. And it's 2-0 CHBR. So a hit by pitch and a bases loaded walk have put the Dawgs in a weird spot as John Rorick, the second baseman, is going to bat. Foul back, 0-1. But yeah, there's a car, again, kind of blocked by the bleachers. You can kind of see the top of it, but it was just sitting in the driveway one of the other days during the series. Don't know if it was game 1 or game 2, or it might have been a qualifier game. And it shattered the sunroof, went right through the sunroof. And they've got a cover on it now, but it literally went right through, shattered the sunroof, and I guess went into the passenger seat or the center console or something, but that one misses. To Rorick with Elias Filiposian on deck. And definitely an interesting situation, to say the least, with the fact that with CHBR having such an offensive barrage early, this is their 7th hitter of the inning, and they've only had 1 out. Here's a ground ball out the third, diving stop. It's going to be picked up at short. Running throw is short and late. And another run will score for CHBR on the infield single by Rorick, and it's 3-0. CHBR is just firing on all cylinders so far. Don't know what it is. Whenever we cover CHBR and Haddonfield, both times they have been electric in the first inning. That one is lined, but foul, and I think it almost hit Bones Marciano out there. But I do remember a time I was playing in a Mount Ephraim. I was about 12, 13 years old, playing in the junior league, and there was a player on the opposing team who I think it was like from Runnymede or something like that. And for the locals, it's the Mount Ephraim field behind the car wash and the Canals liquor store on the Black Horse Pike. There was a parent that parked in the spot that explicitly said no parking because, well, foul balls could have gone over the fence and hit the window. Broken a windshield or something. But it was a modern car, so it was a pretty tough windshield. But the player whose mom parked in the parking spot hit a foul ball over net and broke his own mother's windshield. And that was a fun story to overhear, bringing my equipment back to the car after the game. Because I remember I was playing in right field and I could still see the drop to jaw on that kid's face when he looked back and saw what windshield he had broken. It was a nice, like, not brand new, but a newer car. Well, let's get back to the action. There's still another mound visit between pitcher and catcher. You've just got to think Dustin Bellis, for whatever reason against this team, he's folding under pressure. And he's been having a lot of woes in his last couple of starts, especially versus this team. He's going to line this one out to left, going over, and that one is caught out and left. Tagging from third, but holding up is Dipper, and everybody's going to stay put. So there's 2 outs. Bases remain loaded for Jared Vanderster of Pennsville. Vanderster chops one to third on the first pitch. He'll tag the bag himself and the side is retired, but the damage is done. Not as bad as the first game we did between these two, but 3 runs in the first and all 3 runners left aboard. 9 men up, 9 men come to the plate. 3 of them come around to score. After 1, 3-0 CHBR. We'll be right back. Here in the top of the second, I gotta say, Haddonfield has to do some damage control as they're down 3-0 after 1. This broadcast is brought to you in part by DJK Roofing, South Jersey's #1 roofing supplier, with over 200 5-star reviews on the web. Get a free quote today at 856-778-3900. There's a good play there at the third base spot, number 27 down there. Made the play barehanded. And CHBR's manager, Bones Marciano, almost got beaned with a ball down the third base line in the first inning, but that one's going to miss high. 1-1 to Uzdanovich. Should be 1 and 2. To Yuzdanovich, followed by Sanders and Joey Tedeschi, the catcher. That one's a cricket pitch. I actually did try watching cricket a couple of years ago, and I would be surprised. A game with a bat and a ball that has similar rules to baseball, well, until you go deeper into it, but one popped up foul, out of play. Over towards Graham Avenue. But I had always thought that, cricket would be like a European or Asian version of baseball, but it's not. It is. I tried watching 20 minutes of a cricket match, and I got lost almost instantly. But I've got my own catchphrases. If a ball bounces badly in the dirt, I just say it's a cricket pitch. If the ball's right down the middle, I say right down Broadway. I don't know why. I guess because Broadway is considered like the center. Oh, it's not the center of New York City or even the center of Pittman. Or any other place with a Broadway. That one's a foul tip. Yuzdanovich stays alive. Still getting settled in here from Folk Field in Cherry Hill. About 6:28 p.m. 91 degrees. The real feel has been real generous. Went down from 100 to 99. But that wind, that headwind is, or that tailwind rather, has really been helping us in the long run, helping us stay cool. That one's a pop-up into shallow right center field. Calling for it and making the play out and right will be CHBR's Hernandez. One down. Yuzdanovich is retired. This will bring up Brian Sanders of Cumberland County College. Somebody's got to put WD-40 on those brakes. I'm not slighting him, I'm just saying, put that on your list. That's a line drive to left for a base hit. Slipping in the grass is Vanderster. Caught up between first and second and getting back is going to be a base hit for Brian Sanders. And Haddonfield gets aboard here in the second. Here's Joey Tedeschi, the catcher. Upstairs, 1-0. Two-0. That one misses, goes to the backstop, and a late reaction, but going down to second uncontested will be Sanders. That was weird. It took him like a second or two to realize that the ball had gotten away and that he could have gotten down to second, but nobody really bothered to contest that, so he got in there safely. So runner on second. Still one away for Joey Tedeschi. Hughes on deck, and that will be ball 4. So a rather mundane walk, as it's now going to be, Colin Hughes, the infielder of RCGC, batting now. Bunt back to Angelucci. He'll pick it up, throw to first. Is going to sail. It's going to get away, and it'll hook down the right field line, picked up by Hernandez, and that is going to move the runner over to third. So, actually, that did score Sanders, and that makes it 3-1. I didn't notice it at first, but that's going to put runners on first and third. And one away. So that'll be scored as an E1 I don't know what it is recently. We've seen a lot of errors from pitchers, and it might be because they're just trying to get the ball out of their hand as quickly as possible. That could be a culprit. I mean, we saw it with the Pine Barrens last night. Rick Rankowski. Here comes the throw down to second base, and a stolen base now coming home. He is safe. An A+ base running from Haddonfield gets them within one. It's 3-2. I was getting increasingly nervous that this was going to be a repeat of the first game that we did on July 7th between these two ball clubs, and it was going to be a one-sided affair. But Haddonfield has definitely shown their fight in rather intuitive ways. Here's a pitch from Angelucci. Just missed. Tight zone tonight. Stepping back in, Hughes. And a big swing and a miss. Digger Lomo on deck. Strike three. And he'll be down on strikes for out number 2. First strikeout of the evening for Angelucci. Swing and a miss. A foul tip, rather. Angelucci and his infield are going to meet for a quick conference here. Looks like some folks taking in, or there's some actual Haddonfield players. I just saw one pop up, like a little whack-a-mole. I think they're standing on top of the bricks that go around to that side. They're probably standing on that, and probably a little bit taller in stature than me, but it's like playing a game of peekaboo. Angelucci steps off. See, I've seen some occasions where that's called a balk, but that's very ambiguous gray area kind of baseball, verbiage right there. So that's a swing and a miss from Digger Lomo. Runner on second for Haddonfield. They were down 3 after 1, but they have made up for it, and now runner going to third. Here comes the throw from Woodward. The throw is on the money and in time. So the inning ends just as quickly as they got the momentum going. They cut the lead from 3-0 to 3-2 after 1.5. CHBR still leads by 1. We'll be right back after this. Bottom of the second inning, CHBR got out to an early start, but Haddonfield returned the favor in the top half of the second. It's 3-2 in the bottom of the second. Dustin Bellis releases a breaking ball that misses outside 1-0. We're here from Folk Field on a beautiful yet scorching Thursday evening. I'm here with my producer, Bill Cohood, who is also the senior league advisor and organizer of the Tri-County Baseball League, so he has a lot of insight and insider knowledge on, the day-to-day rumblings in this league and, what goes on in this town and everything like that. And that's going to be a line drive out to right. It's hit well, and it is going to get down for a base hit, and being rather conservative, holding at first base after a base hit off the bat of Sean Sesdowicki. Bringing up Bobby Woodward now, the catcher. He struck out his first time. This broadcast is brought to you by Vincent's Lawn Service, KP1 Racing Designs, and Mountie from Chrysler, Dodge, and Ram. We thank our newest partners for their continued support of Dan Wilkins Broadcasting and our pursuit of bringing grassroots baseball to your living room. That's not an official motto, that's just something I came up with on the fly. Technically, our official motto is capturing the dreams of today and the stars of tomorrow, but I'm not exactly a marketing major, so I kind of do all of that on my own. I think it's pretty catchy though, pretty clever. Oh, that one's gonna be a bean. Got him right in the knee. And that is going to shake up Woodward pretty badly there. And he'll slowly and rather gingerly go down to first base. So 2 runners on to lead off the bottom of the second. And now we are going to have an official mound visit. I believe that's John Tedeschi coming out. Can't tell from that angle. I think he's got the square glasses. So. But they'll discuss this as for the second time this ball game, and for the second time in as many innings, he's got a jam going on right now. There's a bunt, foul, down the third base line off the bat of Yui. Don't forget, folks, on August 25th, the last Friday in August, check in at 6 p.m. for coverage of DWB's debut in the high school football scene between the Cherry Hill East Cougars and the Triton Mustangs. From Highland Regional High School in Blackwood, they are not doing their football games at Triton this year because of a construction project. All of those home games are going to be played in Highland, as there's a strike. And make sure to tune in for Week 1 action on September the 1st for the Buna Chiefs versus the Gloucester Lions from J.A. Lynch Field in Gloucester City as we start off the 2023 football season to wrap up the summer. There's a ground ball out to short, picked up, hard throw to first, and it's going to be called safe. I believe he got in there. So that's going to load the bases again. This could very well be a back and forth game if both teams have this kind of luck. I wouldn't call it luck, but I mean it's a mix of purposefully placing the ball in a place that you can be able to capitalize off it, and it's some of baseball is just luck. That one is a ground ball in the right for a base hit. Scoring is 1, and that's going to make it 4-2 CHBR. So Bellis allows another run, and that's going to give CHBR now a 2-run cushion to work off of here in the second. I mean, I don't know what the highest scoring game this season has been for the Tri-County League, but I know the highest scoring game that I've ever covered was, oh boy, it would be Audubon Collingswood from April of 2022. It was 14-12. Audubon at a 14-2 lead. They were an out away from having the mercy rule victory and ended up almost blowing the lead entirely. That's a line drive to left and foul. Headed out towards Brandon Hartman out there. About 6:45 p.m. here in the bottom of the second inning. Here in Game 3 between Dawgs and CHBR in Tri-County Baseball League action. That one misses. Another ball. And that one hit. And that's going to move everybody up 90 feet, scoring a run, and it's 5-2. It's the second hit batter this inning. And in fact, the second in a row. Or no, excuse me, not the second in a row. But the second in this inning. Woodward got hit, and now Ryan Dipper has been beamed. First pitch is a strike. There's a strike. Grounder out towards second. It's picked up. Throw to second for one on the first. Can't get him. And it scores another run. That will make it 6-2. With 3 runs apiece in the first 2 innings for CHBR. Makes it quite a contentious section here for the Haddonfield Dawgs and John Tedeschi. There is a Haddonfield pitcher out down the first base line that is warming up. Line drive to left. That one will fall for a fair ball. And everybody will move up 90 feet again, making it 7-2. And CHBR has just been putting on an offensive show. As we can see, there is a Haddonfield ball player and a playing street clothes teammate having a catch. That one misses. Whatever it is, I didn't do it. There's a strike. I only say that knowingly because I know the camera mics pick those up really well. Like 2 years ago, I wouldn't have said it. We had an external mic that drowned out a lot of background noise. That one's going to go through third. It's going to go into left, coming around third and holding up. And that's going to load the bases again on the base hit, by Philipposian. And that will load the bases for Vanderster, who ended the first inning last time. Who knows what he can do this time? Here's a ground ball back to the mound. Bellis will throw to the plate for one. Throw to first is in time, and they get the rare 1-2-3 double play. But the damage is done. CHBR puts up 4 more on the board. They'll take the field again to defend that lead. After 2, it's 7-2. We'll be right back. All right. Haddonfield had some work to do after the first. Now they've got even more work to do after the second. Here in the top of the third, it is 7-2 CHBR. They lead by 5 after scoring 4 in the second and 3 in the first. It has been quite a weird night, as there's a foul ball down the right field line. Headed towards Dover Street, and it's 0-1. Angelucci delivers. That one is upstairs, 1-1. First 3 for Haddonfield will be Dustin Bellis, the 10-hitter, Joey Tedeschi, the leadoff man, or excuse me, John Tedeschi, the leadoff man, as that one's caught, and Jacob Watson. Bellis is retired, 1 away. I just gotta wonder, I mean, Haddonfield looked like they had somebody warming up, but I mean, my question is, I just don't know. I don't know what you do in this situation. I mean, you're down by 5 early, but you have the advantage of you have time. If you're down by 5 in the 7th inning, I wouldn't give you a single prayer. But if you've got at least, 15, 12 opportunities or 12 outs to score those 5 runs, I'd give you the benefit of the doubt if you can have something to show for it. I mean, these guys obviously have had something to show for it before. They won game 1 of this series, 2-1. They lost game 2, 4-1 was the final score. So game 3 has been where all heck is breaking loose. It's 3-0 to John Tedeschi, who grounded out to the shortstop his first time. Meanwhile, for CHBR, they have brought 9 men to the plate in both the first and the second. So they've had 18 at-bats in just 2 frames, as that one is ball 4 to John Tedeschi. And this brings up Jacob Watson with a runner on first and 1 away here in the top of the third. Don't forget to tune in when when Dan Wilkins Broadcasting covers Delran Soccer for 2 dates on Wednesday, September 13th versus West Windsor Plainsboro South and the Pirates, and on October 2nd versus the Cinnaminson Pirates, both in Delran, 4 p.m. start time on Dan Wilkins Broadcasting. Really, the amount of support we've received for the fall campaign in 2023 has been phenomenal. We've had 14, 15 football games, including one in North Jersey, a couple in Central Jersey, around the Mansfield area. I think there's one out in Mercer County as well. I'll go to the backstop. I don't know why Tedeschi didn't go to second. I mean, remember, this is a team that likes to run, so they like to steal a lot of bases. That's what got them in trouble in the second inning. But I don't know. It's definitely an interesting caveat. That's not the first time that somebody's been napping on the bases. This is. But it's obvious that, in a best-of-3 series, if you can beat them once, you can beat them twice. We've seen it several times before, even with the Rough Riders being the number 6 seed, upsetting the Pine Barrens. As there's a strike. Angelucci, he's like whipping his arm around out there. I don't know if he's sore or what, or having some discomfort, or he's just expressing a frustrated emotion, but. Off the end of the bat, out towards the left field side, going over. That one is going to drop in fair territory in front of Vanderster for a base hit. Oh, throw. Hold on. Everybody hold up. That's going to be a base hit for Watson. That was a bit weird. I mean, Vanderster, I don't know if he lost sight of it. I mean, it's not like the sun is in that direction. It's actually really nice now that the sun is covered up by clouds. It's no longer feeling like we're in Las Vegas territory out here, but Brendan Hartman, that one is way up and in, and they said that it hit the bat, so it's 0-1. Wow. It either hit the bat or he went around, but umpire called it a strike. One almost grazed his dome. 0-1. Swing and a miss, 0-2. I do remember, though, in the polar opposite of my hottest MLB game, which was 97 degrees, Cubs-Phillies last year, coldest game I ever attended was in New York at Citi Field. It was 40 degrees. That one is foul. Still 0-2. With 40 degrees, Phillies-Mets, back when Matt Harvey was pitching for the Mets, and it was funny because we were driving up to our hotel, which was actually on the Jersey side, and I got a notification on my phone that said Phillies-Mets snowed out. Oh, that one hit him straight in the helmet. Wow. And that's going to load the bases. That is a tough helmet if you can hear that sound from all the way out here, 350-ish feet away. Wow. We've got excessive beanball tonight, folks, and it's going to be bases loaded as Woodward and Angelucci are going to go talk it over with Luca Marinucci coming up to the plate now. Tedeschi on third, Jacob Watson on second, and Hartman on first after the hit-by pitch. I've always had fun ideas for how I could incorporate, rather specific parts of the ball game into corporate sponsorship opportunities. Like, this sounds really corny, but you could definitely say that's a beanball sponsored by Goya or Bush's. Those are the kind of thoughts that separate me from the professionals, to say the least. And that's why I love this job, is that, I kind of work my own schedule and I'm my own boss. And it's a lot of volunteer stuff. On a serious note, a lot of this is grassroots. These players aren't being paid to be here. They're playing for the love of the game. These managers are playing for the love of the game. And these, the umpires are paid and obviously everything like that, but nobody wants to be an umpire just because they want money. They do it because they like baseball, or at least can know enough about it to put on a good show. But that's a strikeout to Marinucci for the first out of the third. That brings up Augie Uzdanovic. That's a bullet in the left field. That's a base hit. It's going to bounce right in front of Vanderster. He throws to the plate, and that's going to bring home a run, making it 7-3 and pushing up that deficit to 4. Went out of focus a little bit there. That's what I get for trying to focus on the American Airlines flight above us, but what else are you going to do? Base is loaded. Only one out after the base hit by Uzdanovic. The second hit of the frame. And that scored Tedeschi. First pitch misses to Sanders, the shortstop. Here in the third, a walk to John Tedeschi, a single by Jacob Watson down the left field line. Brandon Hartman was hit by a pitch. Luca Marinucci struck out, and then Augie Uzdanovic got a base hit, and that's where we are right now, with one away and the bases loaded. That one is fouled back. Yeah, the only time I ever went to Citi Field in New York, that was a game that was snowed out. And it caused a whole dilemma because at the Best Western or wherever we were staying, we had to, purchase an extra night, which, as you know, is not cheap unless you're staying at like a La Quinta or a Days Inn, something more low end. But that one's foul. And especially in the New York area, nothing is cheap there. But what was really funny was that when you think of California, you think of the cost of living, you think of high prices for everything, high prices for rent, high prices for food. Really funny thing is that when I went to Angel Stadium back in 2022, the parking was $10 right behind home plate. That's a swing and a miss. So Haddonfield leaves the bases loaded, but does get a run home, cuts into that deficit a little bit, but CHBR can certainly lead if they so choose. They've batted around twice in 2 innings. After going to the bottom of the third, it is 7-3 CHBR. We'll be right back. We've got a new arm out there for the Haddonfield Dawgs. That is number 29. I believe that is Jack Sub-Romanian for the Dawgs, but I think I'd be right. He's a pretty tall, lanky right-hander, and he's going to be relieving Dustin Bellis of his work as we've got ourselves a 7-3 ball game in the bottom of the third. You're watching coverage of Dan Wilkins Broadcasting and the Tri-County Baseball League. The quarterfinal round, game 3 of 3, between the Haddonfield Dawgs and the CHBR Third Base Club. If you have any questions or comments about today's broadcast, drop me a line at thedanwilkinsshow@gmail.com. We're also accepting new sponsorships for the 2023 fall and winter seasons. If you're interested in having your small business advertised to over 50,000 annual viewers, send me an email. Packages start at as little as $150. That one misses. There's a strike. Seagulls are out in full force. I didn't know I was in Wildwood tonight. I love the nice sounds of the birds chirping. Here's a fly ball. That's hit well. Out towards left, going for it, and making the catch will be Hartman. There's one away. See, I didn't bring my glove on me, so I wasn't going to be prepared if that ball carried out. I was never a gold glover anyway, so. Hartman makes the play, and there's one down for Sub-Romanian versus Bobby Woodward. Aiden Huey on deck for CHBR. That one just missed. We just yelled, "Come on, Bobby." Some positive encouragement out here. And of course the typical straight piped modified sports car that you can hear from a country mile away. Never gets old in this place. That one misses in. And given the nature of these two teams, you know, considering that CHBR before a couple nights ago was unbeaten versus the Haddonfield Ball Club this year, it seems much more of a one-sided battle than it actually is in retrospect. You know, you look at those final scores from the last couple of games that these guys played each other with going back to May 30th, you know, it's a lot more even keeled than it looks like. Maybe one team has won, as there's a strikeout to Woodward, but at the same time, on the other hand of the coin, on the other side of the coin, it's also that these scores were pretty close. You know, 2-1 Haddonfield beat CHBR in game 1, but then 4-1 CHBR won in game 2. So maybe this is the outlier. Maybe this is, you know, the exception. But these teams, except for that 121-3 game on July 7th, have been fairly neck and neck with each other, even if the outcome was the same. That one misses low to Yui. Definitely helps having Bellis in relief. Having sub-Romanian in relief to relieve Bellis, because he's going to have to hold down the fort and eat up some innings before CHBR can get any more damage on their opponents. Just missed. If the inning were to continue, Julian Costa, the first baseman, will be on deck. He singled and struck out in his first 2 plate appearances tonight. Whoa, that was close, but it's ball 4. I mean, I usually try to be as neutral as I can with, you know, complaining about strike zones, because I'm not in center field and I'm not behind the plate, so I don't have the best possible view, especially if I'm setting up like in Pittman down the line. I don't have my gripes about the strike zone unless it's completely blatant and obvious, but I always try to keep it as fair to the umpires as possible, because, you know, they're doing a job just like I am. I make mistakes during my job, they make mistakes during their job. Except they get ridiculed a lot more for their mistakes than I do. Stolen base for Yui. Sun getting a little bit further down on the horizon here, 7:07 p.m. Probably still have about an hour to play before the sun goes out of view, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Bill, but I think the scenario is if this game runs especially long and it doesn't make it to 7 innings, it would be suspended. Unless, no? That's not the case? Well, you're allowed to talk. You're allowed to commentate. That one is down the line. That one's foul. Not forbidding you from speaking on the broadcast. Has to go 5. Okay. So it has to go 5. That is the rule. And of course, this will be the last round where we have to deal with fields without lights, because the next 2 series will be at Camden Athletic Complex and Alcyon Park. There's a base hit in the center field. Going over with it and making a strong throw to the plate. It is way wide. And getting down to second will be Costa. It is 8-3. So an RBI single off the bat of Costa. But a strong throw from center by Uzdanovic. And it brings it back to a 5-run game. But yeah, from here on out, after this series is done, we won't have to worry about suspended games unless weather gets in the way, which, looking ahead to next week, that's California. No, we're looking for New Jersey. That's a strike. It's going to be it's going to be good, except for Friday. Saturday is going to be a washout, but Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday are all looking good. So, should be good for Tri-County semifinal baseball. That'll be fun. That's foul down the third base line. That one misses to Dipper, who has reached base twice tonight. He walked in the first, was hit by a pitch in the second. That one misses. Of course, as we go along in the month of July, the MLB trade deadline coming up quick. I know Carlos Santana, not the guitarist, but the player, got traded to the Brewers. I always like to make that joke whenever he comes up, but there's a ground ball out to short, picked up, throw to first, is in time. And the side is retired. CHBR gets 1 run on an RBI single by Julian Costa, but no further damage. They lead by 5 after 3. We'll be right back. Welcome back to coverage of Dan Wilkins Broadcasting in the Tri-County Baseball League. Here on DWB, today's question is, what was the... Whoa, he threw behind him there. That's not good. Angelucci threw behind the hitter for Haddonfield. But today's question is, what was the first year that the World Series was played? Sorry, there we go. I had to load up the question on my phone. Was it A, 1885, B, 1927, C, 1869, or D, 1903? The answer will be revealed in the bottom of the 4th inning. We'll go back to the main board now, as that one's a foul ball. 5 men came to the plate for CHBR in the bottom half of the 3rd. 1 run came in to score. We made it an 8-3 game. Upstairs and inside to Joey Tedeschi. It's Tedeschi, Hughes, and Digger Lomo, and Dustin Bellis. The next 4 for the Dawgs. It's upstairs. Whoa, there's another one, and that's going to be ball 4. Well, as we were talking about CHBR, we talked about this over the break. CHBR has Jack Norton, their reliever, that could make an appearance rather soon, but speak of it, you know, Bones Marciano's coming out right now. I think after seeing that at bat, he is going to bring in, and that's exactly what's going to happen. He's going to shake his hand, he'll take the baseball, and presumably Jack Norton's going to come in the ball game. We'll see what happens here. Coming out now. That jersey number to show up. We'll have a new pitcher. It's a Parolee's printing pitching change. and I think we're still waiting on our guy. I see a number 77 there, so I think we are going to have our answer. Although, no, Norton's going back to the dugout. It's going to be another pitcher out there, waiting for his jersey number to show up. That's Jared Vanderster. So Jared Vanderster is going to pitch in relief, and we're going to have a new left fielder as well. So we've got a Pro League spring pitching change. We'll go to break, and we'll be right back. Joey Tedeschi on first base, and we've got a whole bunch of changes for CHBR as they lead by 5 here in the top of the 4th. Moving out to left is Ryan Dipper. I got that all wrong. Jared Vanderster moves from left to the pitcher's mound. Moving out to left field from first base is Julian Costa. Moving from the DH spot to first base is Ryan Dipper. You can put that on a twister board, if you will, as that one's going to be lofted out towards shallow right, down the line. 3 players converging for it, and nobody gets it. It's a victim of the warehouse. I think as soon as Bones Marciano, who is, in my opinion, a very well-versed and very conscious manager, he knows when to pull the plug on his man. When he saw those 2 or 3 balls go behind Joey Tedeschi, I think he knew that it wasn't just gonna be, it wasn't meant to be. So he decided to pull that and bring in Vanderster. But yeah, here in the top of the 4th, 8-3, Haddonfield continuing to kind of claw back, but their progress has just been so stagnant that it doesn't appear to me that it's enough of an effort to make a difference in the long run, especially with the time that we have. It's 7:18, probably actually close to exactly an hour left to play, and that's just going off of when the sunset is on our weather app. The actual visibility will probably be below playability levels in about 45 minutes, so that's going to be a swing and a miss. Hughes down on strikes, and this brings up Digger Lomo. First strikeout for Vanderster. Runner on first, 1 away after the walk by Tedeschi. A bunt. Back towards the mound. Vanderster underhands it, and the throw is booted. Holding at first will be Digger Lomo, and going to third is going to be Tedeschi. So even the safest of throws is not safe for the pitcher, and another E1 puts another runner on the base paths for the Dawgs. Defense has just not been the strong suit for either of these teams. I mean, right now I've got 2 errors on the scorecard for CHBR, and then for Haddonfield I've got 1 and I think 2 for both sides, but just seems like these guys are having a lot of gaffes in the field, but they're making up for it at the plate with very productive offensive abilities. And again, the clarification is that this game has to go 5 innings or 4.5 if the home team is winning for this to be official. But if Haddonfield does make a comeback and we run out of time, the stats are reverted back in innings. So even if the final score at the end when time is called would be like 9-8, if Haddonfield scored 6 runs, it would still be 8-3. Just making sure my math is right. I'm making sure I can subtract 9 minus 6. It's an important tool to have. No one misses upstairs. But the best way for Haddonfield to jumpstart a comeback is to get base hits. If they just rely on walks, they're only going to get so far before they run out of time. You know, they've got to jump on the ball. They've got to hit the ball early in the at-bat. Like that, but that's a foul ball over towards Dover Street. And as I thought, the scoreboard is not on tonight, so it wouldn't have mattered if I set up under the scoreboard or not, but actually I don't think I could because that's in dead center field, so that would be in what's called a violation of a batter's eye protocol. So I wouldn't be able to do that anyway. I like this angle though. It's in between some small trees down here. I didn't think I would actually have room to set up in between these little ferns out here in the Cherry Hill Township parking lot for the Cherry Hill Town Hall, or City Hall, whatever you want to call it, municipal building. Which is nice, you know, you get out of work, there's a nice baseball field with a backdrop of the municipal building back here, and there's another foul ball. So again, on first base, that being Digger Lomo, Joey Tedeschi on third base. With a wonderful Thursday evening. It was sweltering when we got here at 4:45 and when we got everything set up, but now that everything is calming down, it's still hot, it's still humid, but it's not unbearable with, you know, beads of sweat dripping down every 10 seconds. So Vanderster throws over to first, got a tough play, but he's safe. It seems like neither team wants to hold on to the lead. I mean, they've got one out, but they've got 2 on. Double in the gap. Oh, look at this. Here comes the throw down to second. It's going to go into center field. That's going to get a run as trotting home will be Tedeschi, and it's 8-4. And stealing second in the meantime is Digger Lomo. It's exactly what we were talking about. Haddonfield loves to run. They're an active team. They're a fast team. They're a young team, which makes it all the better that they're a stolen base powerhouse. Poked foul. So Dustin Bellis would be on deck for Haddonfield. Over there back behind there's the on-deck circle right there. Vanderster in a bit of a jam. The lead has been as high as 5 runs tonight, but CHBR is looking to defend it, and Haddonfield is looking to cut the deficit, and that's going to be ball 4. A little bit of disbelief there from left fielder. So actually, excuse me, they are going to, because of sub-Romanian coming in, they're going to skip over Bellis. And it's going to be John Tedeschi, excuse me, who is quite the interesting figure himself. He's not only a player manager, but he bats leadoff and can also be a pretty decent and serviceable pitcher. You know, think of back in the day when guys like Rogers Hornsby and Walter Johnson used to be player managers. Cy Young was a player manager for a little while. Connie Mack. It's a swing and a miss, 0-2. But runners on first and second for the Dawgs. It's a long gone era. It is a long gone era, player managing. Although we are seeing younger and younger managers, like there is Oliver Marmol of the Cardinals, who is like 36, I want to say. And actually, when the trifecta of Pujols, Molina, and Wainwright were on the team last year, he was younger than all 3 of them, but had to be the authority figure over all 3 of them. So it makes for a complicated situation when you talk about those age gaps. Then there's, you know, the old heads like Dusty Baker, Bruce Bochy, Ron Washington, the classics. And we certainly have our mix of, you know, older managers in the Tri-County League, more experienced managers, younger managers, and then there's the player managers. It's not all that uncommon. That one's popped up in the infield. Vanderster going out and calling for it, making the play is Dipper, 2 down. That was big for CHBR, especially considering the time frame that we have left in this ball game. You know, think of it as like a ticking time bomb. I mean, these guys absolutely needed to get the outs going as soon as possible. Again, here's Jacob Watson. He's 1 for 2. Outside, 1-0. That one is hit out towards left center field, and it will... No, they said he dropped it. They said he dropped it out and left. Sorry, I was checking in on the Wi-Fi system, and Julian Costa thought he made a diving catch, but instead it's going to be a base hit. And that scored a run, Digger Lomo, for Haddonfield. Hold on a second. That is number 18, Dustin Bellis, on second base. So here's Brandon Hartman. Yeah, that was Watson who got the base hit. That was just confusing because I wasn't sure what in the world was going on over there. Swinging a foul tip. Yeah, the infield umpire said that it was trapped on the ground, and I don't think that Costa agreed with the call. Of course, I mean, why wouldn't you? You know, you want the out to go in your favor. But I couldn't get the angle, but it looked like it could go either way because he's in front of me, so I couldn't get a definitive angle. Here's the pitch from Vanderster. Runner goes. Line drive out to center field. Going back and making the catch on a line will be Aiden Huey. Side retired. Haddonfield gets another run home, and it is 8-4. We'll go to break. Here with trivia time in the bottom of the 4th inning. Today's question is, what was the year of the first World Series. The options are A, 1927, or excuse me, no, I gotta reload my page there. Sorry about that. Excuse me, no, do we have the trivia time up? There we go. Okay, so today's question is, what was the year of the first World Series? You see the four answers down on the bottom of your screen there, and of course the options being A, 1885, B, 1927, C, 1869, or D, 1903. Bill, what's your guess on that one? You'd be correct, Bill. He said 1903, and he is correct. 1903. The Boston Americans beat the Pittsburgh Pirates in the first ever World Series. As still getting warmed up, Jack Subramanian had to wait for the umpires to come back, and now we'll be ready to start the bottom of the fourth inning with... Actually, hold on. Bones Marciano is talking to a couple of folks down there. I'm not sure. I think that's the scorekeeper of one of the teams.
It might be worried about Bellis.
Might be.
It says have no call from Angel.
From the commissioner to the league advisor, we're having business talks here. I'm not sure. So in a slight delay, the umpires are talking with Bones Marciano. They're talking to a couple of guys. We're waiting on confirmation from Angelo and Bill here on what the official word is on what is going on, but Haddonfield's just hanging out on the field.
I don't know for sure, but I don't know. He doesn't have to do it now. He can do it at the end of the game.
So from what I'm overhearing, I'm sure we'll get a full explanation when he's off of the phone, but I think there may be a protest being waged by one of the managers. Again, we're here in the bottom of the fourth. CHBR leads 8-5 over the Haddonfield Dawgs. But this isn't any good news for the Dawgs because they only have so many outs and minutes that they can work with to make a comeback here. But we've got Bill Cohut here back in the booth as our producer. He just talked to Angelo Marciano. What's the deal down there? Not really sure. Okay, so we're still a little ambiguous on what's going on down there, but
Might have been with Bellis in the DH position, but I'm not sure.
yeah, it may have been with Dustin Bellis in the DH spot. Whatever issue it was may have been resolved. So Submarinian still having some warm-up pitches after what I had understood to be some sort of a protest or something, but well, you see something new every day in baseball. And Submarinian still having warm-up pitches out here, but again, getting a little bit late. I mean, it's yeah, that's I mean, right now, bottom of the fourth inning. Now the issue is that if we run out of daylight before this inning's over, I mean, it wouldn't really matter because CHBR is in the lead, so it reverts back to the previous inning. So Subramanian will resume the game with a ball inside to Jared Hernandez. It's Hernandez, Rorick, and Filiposian in the 6, 7, and 8 spot for CHBR. That was a foul ball. Obviously, there were a lot of storylines going into tonight's game with a little bit of contention, if you will, but it seems like after tonight, I mean, we could be set for you know, the deep run of who are the pretenders and who are the contenders. If Haddonfield pulls this out, the lowest seed would be the 7th in the semifinals, but if CHBR holds on, then the lowest seed would be the 6th, being the Rough Riders. That one is crushed out to center field, going back Uzdanovich, and it is caught. One away. One away. There's a strike to John Rorick. Eight 5, bottom of the 4th. That one is gonna miss. Sub-Romanian is set and delivers. Ground ball out to third, foul. There's Angelo Marciano walking down the third base line. He's taking a nice little stroll. The Tri-County Commissioner. Swing, miss. That'll be a strikeout for Sub-Romanian, and there's 2 down. So a rather mundane inning here in the bottom of the 4th so far. Hernandez flew out to center on a deep fly ball, and Rorick struck out. Here's Filiposian. He is 1 for 2 with a single and a line out to left in his 2 at-bats so far. Number 9 hitter for CHBR, number 8 hitter. There's 9 in the order for CHBR third base. Yeah, then I mean it's pretty conventional. The number 1 seed is in. If this game holds, the number 2 seed is in. The number 4 seed, Cherry Hill Pittman, is in. So the only exception would be the Rough Riders, who beat the Pine Barrens in 2 games. The umpire just came out to talk to Sub-Romanian for a quick second there. You're watching coverage of the Tri-County Baseball League quarterfinal round here on Dan Wilkins Broadcasting. If you have any questions or comments about today's broadcast, drop me a line at thedanwilkinsshow@gmail.com. That one, this is outside. I guess since we are running out of daylight, I'll have to get my ad reads in sooner than usual. We'll have to cover all bases in that regard. That one misses out. Yeah, Sub-Romanian's done well. I think he's done good as a damage control pick after, you know, the 3 runs in the first, 3 runs in the second. He's kind of been the tourniquet to this team so far. But the fact that the number 7 seed won game 1, but now is on the cusp of losing games 2 and 3, would definitely be a fall from grace that Tedeschi will have to rework with when he builds his roster in 2024, as there's a strike. Sub-Romanian kicks and delivers. That's a strike on the outside corner. Sub-Romanian with back-to-back strikeouts, and the side is retired. 1, 2, 3 up and down for CHBR. We're running out of time. We'll see what Haddonfield can muster here in the top of the 5th. 8-5 CHBR. We'll be right back. Back here in the top of the fifth, CHBR trying to hold on to a 3-run lead, 8-5 ball game. With the new hurler being Zach Frias, number 33 for CHBR. Bones Marciano going to his third pitcher tonight, as this broadcast is brought to you in part by Garden State Pet Center. For all of your pets needs on the 200 block of Whitehorse Pike, open 7 days a week in Audubon. Visit exoticpetsnj.com for anything from toys to the healthiest products available for your pets' needs. Frias with an 0-1 count to start. That's going to be a line drive out to right and a base hit. Holding at first. I'm sorry, that was out of focus again. It eventually fixes itself, but that is something I have to fix at some point. So a base hit to start the bottom, or rather top of the fifth for the Dawgs. Don't forget, folks, to stay tuned for the DWB postgame show presented by Doug Does Anything after the ball game, with our player of the game presented by Doug Does Anything. Your local handyman for any job needed, no matter how big or small. Give Doug Does Anything a call, 856-412-0118. We've got one more ad read to give, but I will let it breathe a little bit before I bombard you with more corporate capitalism, as that one is outside. That's ball 4. So Marinucci walks, and Augie Uzdanovich does the same, or rather, Marinucci got a base hit. Uzdanovich walked. That's what's going to make this interesting, is this is a race against the clock. Haddonfield's got to tie it up at least. Haddonfield has to tie it up at least, and they have to get through the next inning without giving up any runs to CHBR. That's a grounder back to the mound. Throw to first is in time. And CHBR... No, wait. Well, hold on. He was safe. No throw. Sorry, I completely missed that. Apologies there. Can't get him all right. So a single, walk, and single make this a very interesting situation for Joey Tedeschi. But I am right that if Haddonfield scores 3 runs and CHBR does not tie it up, and if they don't retake the lead, then it would be a suspended game. If it's 8-8 after because right now we're in the top of the fifth. If we get to the end of the 5th inning and it's still an 8-8 game, we run out of time, it will be suspended, correct? Now that game would probably be moved to tomorrow, which I would do my best to be here for, even if it was rather short and, temporary. He's outside. If such a scenario happens, stay tuned on our Twitter at DW Broadcasting and on the Tri-County League Twitter at Tri-County Online. Bones Marciano coming out. He is going to have a mound visit here, as his new pitcher, Zach Frias, has had quite the tumultuous start so far. And we are... Oh, okay. So Norton is now going to come in. Seems like this was a last-minute call for Jack Norton, but we are going to have a Parole's pitching change after all in the middle of an at-bat. That's a little crazy. Middle of the at-bat. What's the current count, Bill? What you got? 1-0. So a 1-0 count in the at-bat, and we have a pitching change right in the middle of it. How about that? You don't see that in a long time, but this broadcast is brought to you by Parole's Printing and Bantles, Banners, Signs, and Apparel, the true one-stop shop for all your print and promotional needs with a 5-star Google rating. Over 50 years in business. If you need any graduation lawn signs or banners, flyers, A-frames, business cards, or envelopes done right, this is the place for you. We'll be right back. Jack Norton coming in 8-5, bases loaded for Haddonfield in top of the 5th. Here in the bottom, rather top of the 5th inning, 8-5 in favor of CHBR. Here at Folk Field in Cherry Hill, I'm Dan Wilkins with my producer Bill Cohood and our graphics crew Gavin Van Rel and Caleb Lane. Daylight is running out, but Haddonfield still has a lot of heart in their heads as they're gonna try to come back. They were down by 4 runs at most of this ball game, and now they have clawed back to an 8-5 ball game, with an opportunity to tie it up if Joey Tedeschi can get a ball in the gap. Here's the pitch from Jack Norton. That's a strike. Should be 3-1. Should be 2-1, sorry. Well, the at-bat started on a 1-0 count because of the pitching change. So it was definitely an interesting decision there for Marciano to just see one ball and pull him from the game. But remember, the 3-batter minimum for Zach Frias didn't really play into his favor. I mean, he singled, walked, and singled. And then he pulled Frias after one pitch into at-bat number 4. So this is the 4th pitcher to throw for CHBR tonight. And time is called. Under the beautiful Thursday night sky, under the backdrop of the Cherry Hill Township Municipal Building, out here on Graham Avenue and Dover Street, and there's a swing and a miss. Slams the bat and a huge strikeout, 1 away. Well, if Haddonfield had any hope of coming back, that was a big blow to it. Not to say that it's over, but Tedeschi had reached base both times tonight, and Hughes, Bellis, and Digger Lomo have combined for only 2 on-base appearances out of their 6 at-bats total. That one is upstairs to Hughes. And of course, baseball is not a game of consistency. Anything can happen at any given time. Pitcher can hit a grand slam, you know, catchers can pitch, anything like that. Managers can pitch. This league, I wouldn't call it the Wild West, but you can get pretty darn creative with it. That's a foul ball. And it is 1-1 to Hughes. Colin Hughes, the first baseman for the Dawgs. So the seating, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe it's not reseeded like it is. Oh, it is reseeded? Okay, so that would mean that the Rough Riders would play the Gartons of Vineland in the semifinals, and Cherry Hill Pittman would play the winner of this game. Unless Haddonfield wins, and unless that happens, and then that would be reseeded. Did not know that they reseeded that. I should have done my homework prior, but some sports leagues do that. MLS, WNBA. That ball is hit out to right. This could be a sac fly coming in, making the catch, and they're gonna hold. That was a strike of a throw from Jared Hernandez, and that puts a big hole in their sails for Haddonfield, as after loading the bases, Frias was relieved, and now CHBR is applying their own Band-Aid wounds. What in the world? They tried to appeal to first or something, or they tried to catch a runner napping, and they almost, that was weird. I just got to put my hands up and say I don't know what in the world happened right there. Foul ball by Norton. After the fly ball to right by Hughes, Digger Lomo at the plate, 0 for 2. He reached on an error in the 4th, struck out in the 2nd. 8-5, CHBR over Haddonfield. 7:51 Eastern. Haddonfield getting low on their opportunities to come back. They need a ball in the gap right here or a wild pitch or something to cut into that deficit heavily. That just missed. You never know what you're going to see in these kind of baseball games. Last time we covered these two, it was 21-3. Of course, game 1 of the series was 2-1. Game 2 was 4-1 in favor of CHBR. And now game 3 has been a wild affair. Digger Lomo at the plate with the bases loaded. And 2 outs in the 6th. Or rather in the 5th. That's a swing and a miss. Yeah, this could very well just be a 5-inning game with how slowly it's been going. You know, we've been here since 4:45 and we're only in the 5th inning, so it's definitely a slow trudging snail. That talk about a cricket pitch. I think that knocked out some wickets right there. But I mean, that is smart though, you know, when time is called, the pitcher would rather just spike the ball or airmail it than risk injuring his arm by disrupting his motion. So strike 3. What a pitch, what a call, and the side is retired. Jack Norton comes into the ball game, lets Zach Frias off the hook, and most likely solidifies a win for CHBR if the sun doesn't stay up for much longer. We'll need a quick frame though. Going to the bottom of the 5th, 8-5 CHBR. We'll be right back. Bottom of the 5th, CHBR just got the sigh of relief of a lifetime with a strikeout looking with the bases loaded, halting the threat started by the Haddonfield Dawgs as that one misses. They had 6 men come to the plate in the 5th inning, which was the most that they've had all night, and it is going to be no, it's not going to be Vanderster. It's going to be number 77 being Jack Norton. So Norton will replace Vanderster with the DH being wiped out because of Ryan Dipper and everything like that with the new pitcher. So a lot of defensive changes were made in the middle innings. Stepping out of the box and taking the strike is Norton. So it'll be Norton followed by Sesdewicki and Bobby Woodward. That is strike 3. Goes down rather unceremoniously, and there's 1 out. Yeah, I think this puts, without putting too fine a point on it, a pretty bleak outlook for Haddonfield. The fact that they're probably not going to have enough daylight to score 3 runs and complete a full 6th inning frame, meaning that they probably won't be able to get the benefit of the doubt and will probably go home after tonight. But it's unfortunate. Haddonfield, you know, has had their sparks of excellence, and again, generally new team, came around in 2021. So, you know, look, CHBR, probably their best season in the 19 years that they've been here. I don't know, you might know this better than I do, Bill, but when was the last time CHBR made the semifinals, if ever? That's a ground ball back up the middle. That's going to be taken in on a sliding stop, but booted it short, and that's going to be an infield single for Sesdowicki. And this will bring up Bobby Woodward. I mean, they've been around since '04. Do you know once or twice? I didn't see any time recently that they'd been in, but probably their best regular season effort that they've had so far. Throw over to first. And it looks like Mother Nature was on our side tonight. Storm broke up. Right now we have a 30% chance at 10 p.m., but we are in the clear, as Jersey weather will have it. That's a foul ball down the left field line. But a beautiful sunset with the clouds behind us. Don't need that umbrella anymore. That one's hit well. Actually rather shallow in the infield and taken in at second base. 2 down. Two down, Sesdowicki on first after Woodward popped out. And with 2 outs, Aiden Huey at the dish. That one's hit well. Shallow right center field, going for it, diving Watson. That is going to drop, and it will be a base hit. As Watson gets up, claps his glove, and he'll go for the next shot after Huey's single. The incredible thing about this game is that CHBR has had a grand total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hits, all singles. No doubles, no triples, no homers. And maybe that's what happens in a pitcher's park like this, but it's pretty astounding to me that 10 hits, no singles. It's like Game 4 or Game 5 of the 2006 World Series. Cardinals won the pennant, or won the championship, won the World Series on a game where they only hit singles. No doubles, no triples, no homers. But that World Series wasn't exactly all that good between Detroit and St. Louis. I've always been the one to say that the 2008 World Series, from an outsider's perspective, if you weren't a fan of the Phillies or Rays, wasn't that good of a World Series, wasn't that competitive. Phillies won in 5, but, you know, I mean, you can't complain with that, but from an outsider's perspective, from a TV perspective, it wasn't that great. The 09 World Series was probably a lot better. Went to 6 games, had a walk-off or 2. Just a thought, but I know this year's World Series, or last year's World Series with Philly and Houston, was quite a good one. I think people forget a lot that the Nationals won a title fairly recently, and now they're in the depths of the basement of Major League Baseball again. But here's the pitch. That one is just gonna miss. That one looked pretty fair and square to me, but the bases are loaded now after the walk. And this brings up Ryan Dipper. And on the leisure for CHBR, they've had 2 errors defensively, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 walks issued by Haddonfield and 3 hit by pitches. That ball is launched out to the left, going over and making the catch up against the fence will be Hartman. And the side is retired. We'll see if they play another. We'll wait a little bit to see if they go back out there, and it looks like they do. So yeah, they're gonna grab the gloves and they're gonna try to make a quick one out of this. We'll go to break after 5, 8-5 CHBR. We'll be right back. Well, Dustin Bellis looks like he's back up at the plate here in the top of the 6th, and a good piece of advice that I just learned from Bill Kohut is the typical protocol for lighting and darkness in the Tri-County League is do not anticipate darkness, wait for darkness. I think a lot of these guys learn a valuable lesson from, you know, not calling the game until both umpires can't see. I mean, you know, there's some folks that have already packed up their lawn chairs and everything like that, but, you know, I think it's a matter of these guys just want to play another inning. And the outcome will probably not change, or at least is unlikely to change considering what happened in the 5th, but these guys are still going to play it out until nobody can see no more. One's going to miss in. 3-0 count. There's a strike to Bellis. Bellis, Tedeschi, and Jacob Watson. 10, 1, and 2. That one misses in. Ball 4. Well, as soon as I say it's unlikely for Haddonfield to draw up a comeback, of course I see the leadoff walk, but I mean, Watson's still out there. I think this will make for a very contentious player of the game competition, you know, considering that none of these 4 pitchers have pitched long enough in this game. Usually, if no offensive player stands out, then I could just go with the starting pitcher. But there are some relievers in this ballgame that have gone longer than the starting pitcher. And not really any offensive player has stood out, maybe with the exception of Aiden Huey. I may go for Aiden Huey, but because he is 3 for 3 with 3 singles and a walk. But because there's been no extra base hits and no, you know, disproportionately affected RBI numbers, you know, it's not like somebody drove in 5 and somebody else drove in 1, 1, and 1. But, you know, I think with Huey spotting the number 3, the 3 hole in the order, he definitely lived up to that expectation well. So maybe that will be the player of the game presented by Doug Does Anything, but that is a question to be determined for sooner rather than later. That's a ground ball out to second, throw on to first, and it's a double play. 4-6-3, and it works to perfection. And there's 2 down. That one's cracked out to short. Throw to first is in time and the side is retired. So a very quick frame, but problem was it didn't help Haddonfield any. So we go to the bottom of the 6th. They are moving fast, 8-5 after going to the bottom of the 6th inning. Bottom of the 6th inning. Jack Subramanian still working out there, still working strong. And the first batter he'll face in the bottom of the 6th will be Jared Hernandez. Will be followed by John Rorick and Elias Filiposian. There's a strike. Should be 1-1. CHBR leads 8-5, and even though we're running out of a little bit of daylight, there's still enough where these guys can still see for a little while. There's a foul ball. Over down the third base line towards the grandstands. That's a line drive into left center, or right center, or just straight up center field, and it's a base hit. Watson gets there. If we can focus back in, there we go. Took enough tries. And that will bring up John Rorick. And again, that's 11 hits for CHBR. Again, all singles. And it's not like the grass is abnormally tall. It's not like you're going to have to deal with what we had to deal with at the last place that we played at. Oh, at Ricino. There we go. Oh my gosh. It was like a line of smoke coming out of my head. But yeah, at the Ricino complex, the grass was so tall that just any line drive ended up just getting absolutely nowhere. Even a ball that went straight over to center fielder Zach Ellen's head and went all the way into the open meadows was only a double. Because the ball didn't have any momentum, didn't have any rolling power. Runner on first, nobody out for CHBR in the bottom of the 6th. That one misses. Of course, with the nightfall comes the elusive bugs That one's popped up. Can't see that one. That one's going to go out of play. Beautiful sunset behind us, though. That one's upstairs. You can see right here, now that the umbrella's down, that I can show it. Let's see, there we go. Look at that. That is a beauty. Right in between the clouds. That's a fly ball out to center field, and it is caught by Watson. He brings it in, and the runner gets back to first safely. So this will bring up Elias Filiposian with one down. There's another ground ball out to short, picked up for one. Throw to first is just going to be late, and he's safe. There's a 6-4-3 fielder's choice. And this brings up, I believe, Jack Norton again. Yep, Norton again. Norton 0 for 1, struck out looking his first time. Takes a strike. Although the way he's been standing in the box, I don't think he's really had that ambitious of an approach. He's, yeah. They call him a PO, which is not what you think a PO means in baseball culture. There's a strike. PO in the baseball realm mostly means pitcher only, and because the DH was gone, it's kind of like an American League pitcher hitting in a NL ballpark. It just doesn't mix well unless your name's Shohei Ohtani. But he's going to get a base hit in the center field. That's going to be an RBI single, and it's 9-5, going down to second with the emphatic support of the CHBR dugout. They make it 9-5. With the way the dugout reacted to that, just sounded like a very enthusiastic hit right there. And he's going to be pinch run for because he is the pitcher. So yeah, that's going to be a single E8. First pitch. Norton's getting all the love in the dugout. At least one player is ready to go. I just saw somebody in there in red shoes and street clothes. So Filiposian scored, but still with one out, going back to the top of the order for Sesdewicki, he is 3 for 4. Again, all 3 singles, 12 hits, still all singles. And some would have scored that a double, but because he didn't start going down to second base until the throw came into the catcher, that's single E8. And a really nice pink backdrop back here. Like for a really, wow. I didn't even notice all of that over there. Jersey makes some beautiful sunsets, folks. That's a line drive. That one is scooped at second. Where did it go? It actually got trapped at second base. So that is going to be another infield hit for Sesdewicki. That's his 4th of the day. And make that 13 singles. I mean, that ball was hit hard enough. I wouldn't score that in error. Really hard to decipher on that one, but that's going to put runners on first and third. Norton's pinch runner on third, and then Sesdewicki on first for Bobby Woodward, who was our player of the game when these two first met under the DWB camera in that 21-3 game. Although this game has been a lot more double-edged, if you will. Haddonfield has had its moments, and that's going to be defensive indifference there as he goes down to second, which is not scored as a stolen base because there's no contest. That ball is crushed out to left center field, and that ball is gone to the parking lot. 3-run homer, Bobby Woodward. He got it to the back row of the Cherry Hill Township parking lot. It's a 3-run shot, and whatever doubts you may have had about CHBR can now go out the window as they now lead 12-5. Well, Woodward homered the first time we filmed these two teams, and now he's done it again on a much more difficult field to hit it out on. I couldn't tell as there's a ground ball out to short. Throw to first is in time. And the side is retired, but more damage is done. 12-5. Going to the 7th, we could still get this done. Hang with us, folks. 7-run game. We'll be right back. CHBR, after looking like that this game was going to end after 5, have been able to hold it out for the longest time, and it's now 12-5 in the top of the 7th inning after Bobby Woodward smashed a home run to left field, as that one made it a 12-5 ball game in favor of CHBR, putting, let's say, for lack of a more kind term, a last nail in the coffin for Haddonfield in this game 3, which looked like it was going to be a lot more lopsided than it ended up being, but that's going to be a base hit to left. So Haddonfield still keeping it alive. 7 men came up to the plate for CHBR, but a leadoff base hit by Hartman, with Jack Norton still out on the mound. But Norton of Gateway Regional High School, one of the lower seeded teams in the Group 1 playoffs. That one is hit well. Out to center field. Yui going back, and he makes the catch. That's a can of corn. And there's one away. After the game, make sure to stay tuned on our broadcast for the Doug Does Anything Player of the Game and Post-Game Show. This broadcast is brought to you by Doug Does Anything, your local handyman. For any job needed, no matter how big or small, give Doug Does Anything a call, 856-412-0118. Norton stepping up versus Uzdanovic. That one misses. One's downstairs. 2-0. And assuming I get no last minute broadcast opportunities going forward, there's a fastball for a strike. Our next broadcast will be July 31st, either at Camden or at Alcyon Park. We will see what the plan is, but again, make sure to follow our Twitter at DW Broadcasting and the Tri-County League Twitter at Tri-County Online for more updates on where the games will be, when they'll be, and how you can find them. One out and a runner on first. Norton looking to complete what would be a 3-inning save, technically. Considering he inherited the ball in the 5th inning. Worked through a clean 6th and 7th as well. But now he's got a lot more comfortable of a cushion to kind of leapfrog off of, as that one's going to miss up and in. I'd imagine as it's becoming harder for me to see the baseball from, I think we're about 350 feet away, it's probably becoming harder for those guys to do it as well. So just keep that in mind as we go along. Who knows how many pitches these guys have left before the umpires pull the plug. But again, the Tri-County kind of philosophy on it is play until you can't no more. That's going to be a walk, and it's going to put 2 runners on. As Uzdanovic gets on board for the 3rd time tonight, bringing up Brian Sanders. Haddonfield wanted a balk there, but that's inside. The funny thing is that Haddonfield has had 5 runs on 8 hits, all singles. So the only non-single was the Bobby Woodward home run in the bottom of the 6th. It seems like every time we broadcast a game, there's a home run hit, except for the first one we had. Yet the Tri-County home run leader in the regular season was 4. But it seems like every time we do a game, there was a home run. There were 5 hit in the CHBR game that we did on July 7th. Jack Murphy homered in the Rough Riders Camden game. Zach Morales homered in the South Jersey Grizzlies qualifier round game. And then Bobby Woodward homered tonight. There were 2 home runs in the Washington Township game versus CHP a couple nights ago. But Alcyon Park is also a very hitter-friendly park, considering the wood bat level. I mean, 310 down the lines, and then 365 to center. I mean, even on my PS5, that's a hard field to make in the stadium creator of MLB The Show. So, although I've made several in the area. I've made Audubon, West Deptford, Haddon Heights. It puts my architecture skills to the test, and also puts my patience to the test with all these trees. Like, if I were to recreate this field, I would have to find a substitute for those trees that are overhanging the left field line. I'd have to find a substitute for that. Let's see, let's refocus in here. Just in time for the delivery to Sanders. Whoa! Time was called, and again, that was a pitch that was spiked. We'll up the shutter speed, or we'll slow down the shutter speed a little bit to 180 so that you guys can see a little bit better as the daylight continues to fade in a beautiful pink sunset behind us. I gotta stop talking about the darn sunset. That one's up and in. Right now, 8:26. We've been going on for 2 hours, 26 minutes, basically. In one of the longer broadcasts of the year. I mean, the 10-inning game versus Washington Township was only 2 hours and 52 minutes. Ooh. And that was 10 innings of baseball. 10 innings of baseball, including pregame and postgame, all in 2 hours and 52 minutes. This has been 2 hours and 27, 2 hours 28-ish. And it's been a full 7. But also a lot more offense was in this game than the Washington Township and CHP game. That ball is hit out to left. That's going to be a base hit. It took him a second to recognize where the ball was, and it's going to give Haddonfield a run. Maybe a bit of a moot point, but it's 12-6. So an RBI single from, Sanders, scoring Hartman. It's 12-6. Umpires are going to converge. I think that this may be it. CHBR waiting around. They are encroaching on the infield. They are just waiting and waiting and waiting. And we're done. CHBR, in one of their best seasons in their 20 years of existence in the Tri-County League, have punched the 4th and final long-awaited ticket to the semifinals. They will meet with either the Gartons or the Rough Riders or even the Cherry Hill Pittman Ball Club as they win decisively 12-6. The RBI single off the bat of Sanders was the last one of the game. And that's how we wrap up this 3-game series. Folks, stay here. It was quite a weird ball game, and as you can see, we had such a beautiful backdrop. It's a shame the field couldn't be facing that way, or else we would have such a beautiful sight tonight. But stay tuned as we have got the DWB postgame show presented by Dawgs Does Anything with our player of the game. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Here from Folk Field, the night lights have turned on and the game has been turned off after we almost got a full 7 innings in, but the final score was 12-6 in favor of CHBR. They advance to the TCBL semifinals to face either Gardens of Ireland. Probably the most likely opponent that they face is Cherry Hill Pittman, but we'll see how everything goes on July 31st. Our player of the game is Aiden Huey. For the Doug Does Anything post-game show, this broadcast is brought to you by Doug Does Anything, your local handyman. If you need anything done, no matter how big or small, give Doug Does Anything a call, 856-412-0118. This was an interesting game, to say the least.
For sure.
You went 3 for 4 with 3 singles and a walk, and except for that one Bobby Woodward home run when it didn't really matter, it just extended the lead, every single hit was a single. That was the only extra base hit of the night. How'd you feel out there?
Felt pretty good. Came out here, had to get the win. Excited to play some more baseball. And yeah.
I mean, you seem to really see the ball well, not just off of Bellis, but off of Subramanian as well. And with those 3 singles, you guys were just stringing together walks and didn't really take advantage of bad defense as much as you did off of good plate discipline and also just being able to put the ball in play. What was the general focus that you guys were seeing that helped you guys get a lot of base hits, especially early on, and get those early runs that helped you win?
Honestly, we were just thinking fastball. We were just attacking the first pitch, just doing whatever we can to hit the ball.
And that's what's important. It's important that, you guys have a solid approach to how you guys are going to hit and how you guys are going to throw out there as well. I mean, you guys had good defense and, even you, when you had to move from left to center with all the, shenanigans going on in the field, it really was just a sound ball game from start to finish.
Sure.
Now, you guys lost game 1, 2-1 to Haddonfield. You guys were down 1-0 in the series to the number 7 seed. What did you guys do to rebound?
Honestly, I don't know. I feel like we came out with a different mentality. Like, went in a little lackadaisical the first game, but kind of had that dog mentality the rest of the games. Yeah.
That's what's important. I mean, hey, you guys were playing the Dogs and you guys beat the Dogs.
Yes,
and,
sir.
This was a highly contentious series. There, a lot of storylines going into the game, a lot of controversies going into the game. But guess what? You guys put that to rest and you guys won the game fair and square, 12-6. And with that 6-run lead, you guys had an array of great pitchers out there that were doing their job and doing well. Jack Norton had the 3-inning save. Also, their starter, Angelucci, as well. He seemed to have a little bit of control issues, but you guys kept the lid on top of things. So now that you guys are clinched, and you've punched your ticket into the semifinals, this is CHBR's best season in the 19 years that they've been around, since 2004. Now that you guys are in the hunt for that Carter Cup, what is next for your team?
Just continue what we're doing, keep it rolling, keep the bats moving, and just keep winning.
And that's a great mentality to have.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Aiden. You're the player of the
Appreciate
game,
it.
presented by Doug Does Anything, and that will put a lid on this broadcast tonight. Our next game will be July 31st, either from the Camden Athletic Complex or Alcyon Park in Pittman. Again, follow our Twitter and the Tri-County Online Twitter. DW Broadcasting for us, Tri-County Online for the TCBL, and you will get the newest and freshest updates on where we'll be, when we'll be there, and where you can find our broadcasts and our games of Tri-County playoff baseball. That puts a lid on it. Final score, Haddonfield Dawgs 6, CHBR 12. From everybody here at Dan Wilkins Broadcasting, my graphics crew, Gavin Van Rel and Caleb Lane, my producer, Bill Kohut, and myself, Dan Wilkins. We will see you July 31st next week, either in Camden or Pittman. We'll see you then. Good night, everybody.